He sat near the edge of the celebration, a glass of untouched pomegranate juice in his hand, dressed in pristine white robes that draped like a crown across his shoulders. The man was seated, but even from a distance you could tell this was a king. A man not broken, but paused. 2 years ago, Lucas had disappeared. After the accident, after the headlines, after the scandal and silence, he had vanished into marble towers and boardroom shadows. And tonight, for his 40th birthday, the world tried to welcome him back. But Lucas hadn't really returned. Welcome to CedarLight Love Stories, where every tale shines with passion, warmth, and unforgettable emotions. If you love stories that touch the heart, spark hope, and remind you of the beauty of love, then you're in the right place. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and join our growing family of story lovers. Let's journey together into love, light, and endless inspiration. He stared out into the skyline, jaw tense, body still. Even the music couldn't pull him from the fog in his mind, until she appeared. The moment Phoebe stepped onto the rooftop, the air shifted. No fireworks, no spotlight, just her, in a deep green satin dress that kissed her curves gently and shimmered every time the breeze teased it. A thigh-high slit swayed as she walked, revealing legs that carried strength, not just beauty. Her hair was pinned loosely, curls soft at the edges of her jaw. Her skin gleamed under the soft lanterns. She looked unbothered, and yet her eyes gave her away. There was history behind that gaze, tenderness, regret, steel. Lucas's chest constricted. She wasn't supposed to be here. His knuckles went white around the stem of his glass. For a moment, he thought he was imagining her, a phantom stitched together by longing and guilt. But then the glass doors behind her slid open, and the crowd, the noise, the music, all of it faded. Phoebe was real, and she was walking straight toward him. He blinked once, twice. Phoebe, his voice came out low, hoarse, unsure whether to sound shocked or shattered. She stopped a few feet away. Not too close. Not yet. I didn't come to crash your party, she said, her voice even. Clear. Malik wanted to see. You. He's downstairs with James. Lucas's heart thudded. Malik, I didn't expect to see you like this, she added, her eyes moving from the chair to the way. His hand trembled slightly. Like this? He echoed, eyebrows raised. In a fortress of glass, she replied. It was that line, that effortless, disarming line, that cracked something inside him. His lips twitched. A laugh escaped. Short, rough, unfamiliar. You always knew how to say what others wouldn't, he muttered. She gave a small shrug. Someone has to. This party is awful, by the way. Lucas blinked, then smirked. Finally, someone brave enough to say it. And in that tiny, unplanned moment, something shifted. The space between them didn't shrink physically, but emotionally, it collapsed just a little. Phoebe crossed her arms, glancing out toward the skyline. Still can't believe you made it. To 40. You used to say men like you burned out by 38. I did burn, Lucas said softly, looking at her now with nothing between them but air. But I'm still here. Phoebe's eyes met his. Are you? He didn't answer right away. Didn't pretend to. Instead, he set the glass down and gestured to the empty chair beside him. She hesitated. Just a beat. Then she moved, and the world kept turning. The chair beside Lucas was crafted from steel and leather, sleek and impossibly elegant, like everything around him. But for Phoebe, it may as well have been a seat on the edge of a cliff. She sat anyway. The silence between them stretched, but not awkwardly. It was dense, unfinished, like two souls trying to remember what piece used to sound like. Lucas leaned back slightly. How did you even get in? James knows someone, she said, glancing at him sideways. I didn't expect to be seen. Didn't plan to come upstairs. He raised a brow. Then why did you? Phoebe traced the edge of her clutch bag. Because I saw you sitting here alone, and I couldn't walk away. Lucas looked down at his hands, resting on his lap. They didn't tremble now, but the ache ran deeper than joints or nerves. "I've been alone for a long time," he murmured. "Even when I wasn't." Phoebe didn't argue. She didn't rush to fill the space. That's what made her different. She allowed stillness to speak. "When you left," she finally said, "you didn't just disappear from the public. You vanished. From us." Lucas swallowed. "I thought it was the right thing." "For who?" That made him pause. He turned slightly to face her. "I couldn't bear the idea of you seeing me like that. Weak. Half of who I was." "You weren't half," she said, voice firmer now. "You were hurting. There's a difference." Lucas looked away. The night wind tugged at the edge of his bisht. "And Malik," she asked, "did you think he'd be better off without a father?" He flinched. "I thought he was too young to understand." "He's not too young now." Lucas hesitated. What does he know? Phoebe's lips pressed together. That his father got hurt. That his father stopped calling. That his father used to make his mom smile once. A silence fell again, but this time it was suffocating. "I didn't stop loving you," Lucas said quietly. "I just stopped believing I was allowed to." Phoebe turned toward him, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't get to decide what other people can love you through. That's not your job." He exhaled long and slow. "You sound stronger." "I had to be," she replied. "You left me with no choice." That stung, but he nodded. "I'm sorry," he said, and it wasn't performative. There was no polish to it, just rawness. Phoebe looked at him for a long time. Then her fingers reached out, slowly and brushed, against the back of his hand. Lucas didn't move, but the contact grounded him. "Do you think about us?" she asked. He blinked. "All the time. I don't mean the pain. I mean the mornings, the way you used to make coffee and forget, to put sugar in mine. Or how you used to tap on the bathroom door just to ask if I was still mad." He laughed quietly. "I never stopped," he admitted. "I just didn't know how to start again." Phoebe tilted her head. "And now," he looked at her, eyes heavy, "now I'm terrified." She arched a brow. "Of what?" "Of wanting you. Still, after everything." Her voice softened. "Lucas, wanting someone isn't the shameful part. It's pretending you don't, that is." He exhaled again. This time, something loosened in his shoulders. "Malik asks about you every day," he said. She blinked, caught off guard. "He does?" Lucas nodded. "He's never met me, but he keeps drawing these pictures. Him and me, playing soccer, sitting on a beach, even driving a car together." Phoebe pressed a hand to her chest. "I thought maybe it was just fantasy," Lucas continued. "But maybe it's more." "It is," she whispered. "He's always sensed you somehow." They sat in silence again, this time not heavy, just thoughtful. Lucas glanced sideways. "You still wear that perfume." Phoebe smiled faintly. "It was a gift from someone I thought I lost." "You didn't lose me," he said. "No," she said. "You just hid." And with that, the last thread of tension between them loosened, not dissolved, not forgiven, but loosened. Phoebe shifted slightly in her seat, the satin of her dress catching the breeze again. The slit parted just enough to draw Lucas's gaze, but his eyes weren't lustful. They were full of longing, of memory, of questions he was too afraid to voice. "You're staring," she said without looking at him. "I forgot how not to." Her lips quirked. "That line used to work better when you were taller than me." Lucas chuckled, low and soft. "I'm still taller. You're just seated on a throne now." "I'm sitting beside you, Lucas. That's not a throne." His expression sobered. "Feels like one." Phoebe turned to face him fully, the moonlight catching the curve of her jaw. "Do you really think that's how I see you now? As some fallen version of a man I used to love?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. "You're not broken," she said. "You're guarded, wounded, but not broken." Lucas's jaw worked slightly. "People say things like that when they want to believe them. I say things like that because they're true." The wind shifted again. Her dress danced. His eyes dropped instinctively to the slit again, the skin of her thigh glowing beneath the terrace lights. She noticed, and this time she let the silence stretch. "I didn't come here to start something we can't finish," Phoebe said. Lucas looked at her slowly. "And yet, here we are." She leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "Tell me the truth. Did you really think you could celebrate your birthday without wondering what it would have been like if we'd stayed together?" His smile was quiet, pained. "I didn't think I'd live to see this birthday at all." Phoebe's chest tightened. "You thought about giving up?" "I didn't need to think. I just stopped trying. For a while." She reached for his hand again. This time, he met her halfway. Their fingers intertwined like a language they'd forgotten how to speak, but still understood. Fluently. "I used to rehearse conversations with you in my head," Phoebe confessed. Lucas glanced at her. "What did I say?" "You always apologized, always begged, always cried." He looked down, a wry grin forming. "Sounds pathetic." She shook her head. "You were beautiful in those memories, because you were real." Silence again, but it wasn't empty. It was full of the things they hadn't said for 2 years. Phoebe's fingers gently stroked the back of his hand, tracing the lines like she was reading. His story all over again. Lucas swallowed hard. "I still dream about you." Her hand paused. "About us," he added. "How you used to crawl into bed with that awful pink robe. How you'd fall asleep mid-sentence. And how, no matter what, you always reach for me in the dark." Phoebe smiled softly. It was instinct. He turned his palm up, letting her explore the center of it now. Her fingertips brushed over, the creases and calluses, down to his wrist. "Do you still reach?" he asked. "Every night," she whispered. Lucas leaned forward just an inch. "Then why haven't you come back?" Phoebe's voice trembled, but she held his gaze. "Because I didn't want to return to a man, still hiding from the world." He nodded. "And now—" Her lips parted. But before she could speak, the distant sounds of laughter and clinking. Glasses reminded them that they weren't truly alone. Phoebe stood. Lucas's eyes followed her, scanning the shape of her figure against the backdrop of the rooftop garden. Her silhouette glowed under the lanterns, delicate yet resolute. "I need to check on Malik," she said. Lucas's chest clenched. "He's really here?" She nodded. "He's downstairs, sleeping in James's car. I promised I wouldn't be long." Lucas's throat tightened. "Can I see him?" Phoebe's eyes softened. "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you're ready to see yourself through his eyes." Lucas inhaled sharply. Then she did something unexpected. She walked behind his chair and leaned down, arms looping around his shoulders. She didn't speak. She just held him. Lucas froze, her warmth pressed against his back, her cheek brushing the side of his head. "I didn't come for a second chance," she whispered into his ear. He tilted his head. "Then why did you come?" She paused. "And then, to see if the man I loved is still in there." She kissed his temple, a whisper of a kiss, but it hit like thunder, and she walked away. Lucas stayed frozen, breath shallow, heart louder than any music still playing across the rooftop. She hadn't asked for anything, but she had left everything behind. The garden terrace behind the rooftop ballroom was quieter, less gold, less glass, more shadows and moonlight. Jasmine vines curled along the edge of the railing, their soft scent threading through the evening air. Lucas wheeled himself past the arch, the noise of the gallery receding behind him like a closed door. He stopped just beside a low lantern, the flickering light casting warm lines along his jaw. Phoebe stood a few steps away, arms crossed. The wind tugged gently at the hem of her dress. "I didn't expect to stay this long," she said without turning. "I didn't expect to want you to," Lucas replied. She finally faced him. "Is that why you followed me out here?" He shook his head slowly. "I didn't follow you. I needed space. You just happened to be where my breath could return." Her throat tightened. "Lucas, I'm not trying to trap you, Phoebe," he said, voice steady. "You don't owe me anything, least of all this moment. But I wanted it." she replied softly. That's the problem. Lucas's gaze drifted to her feet, bare toes just peeking through the slit in her gown. You look exactly like the woman I used to wake up beside. And you look nothing like the man who left me, she said. He flinched, but didn't turn away. I don't mean your body, she clarified. I mean your silence. You used to laugh in the morning. You used to sing off-key in the shower. You used to wrap your arms around me, like the world didn't matter. And now, she stopped. Lucas filled the space. Now I carry the weight of things I never said. She stepped closer. Then say them. He looked up at her, chest rising. I missed you so badly I started talking to your side of the bed. I miss Malik's first words, first steps, first tantrum, and it kills me. I left because I was ashamed, but I stayed away because I was afraid. Phoebe sat on a low stone bench beside him. Afraid of what? That if I came back, I'd ruin whatever pieces of peace you managed to find without me. Phoebe didn't speak immediately. She reached over and placed her hand gently on his thigh. You're right, she said. You would have ruined it, because there was no peace without you. Lucas's eyes glistened. But you don't get to run forever and then expect the pieces to fall back into place. She continued. You have to earn the right to be in our world again. I don't even know how to start. She tilted her head, considering. Start by seeing yourself as more than what you've lost. Lucas blinked. You think I've lost something? She nodded. Yes, but not your worth, just your courage. The breeze caught her hair, letting a few loose strands fall over her cheek. Lucas reached, up instinctively, brushing them aside with gentle fingers. His touch lingered longer than necessary. Phoebe didn't move away. I remember the first time you touched me like that, she murmured. So do I, Lucas said. You were wearing that ridiculous purple coat and glaring at me for taking the last croissant. Her smile was slow, nostalgic. You gave me the croissant, eventually. You made me, he said, chuckling, with that death glare. Their laughter faded into quiet. Phoebe's hand slid down to his. Why now, Lucas? Why tonight? He shrugged slightly. 40 felt like a full stop, like I had to either begin again or fade out. And you want to begin again? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned his hand over, letting her fingers slip between his. I want to see if the fire is still there. She leaned in closer, her breath brushing his jaw. It never left. You just forgot how to feel. Lucas closed his eyes. Remind me. Phoebe stood, never letting go of his hand. Come upstairs. To your room? He asked. She shook her head. To yours. Lucas's breath caught. I'm not promising answers, she said, but I am offering honesty, if you're ready for that. He tightened his grip on her fingers. Lead the way. She gave a slight nod, then turned, and this time he followed her not with his eyes, but with motion. As they disappeared toward the private elevator at the far end of the rooftop, neither looked back. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime. Phoebe stepped in first, her heels clicking against the marble. Lucas followed, his wheelchair gliding beside her like a shadow. No words, just tension, not the sharp kind, the kind that hums beneath the skin, like something familiar returning. Without asking permission, she pressed the top floor. Lucas cleared his throat. So, is this where you tell me this is a bad idea? Phoebe didn't turn. If I was to turn back, I would have done it on the rooftop. He looked at her profile, soft jawline, calm brow, lips that didn't tremble even now. You've changed, he said quietly. Pain will do that. I don't want to hurt you again. Phoebe faced him. Then don't. The elevator hummed higher. The silence felt less like absence now and more like anticipation. I've thought about this, Lucas said, voice low. For so long. She met his gaze, then stopped thinking. When the doors opened, candlelight spilled into the elevator. His suite had changed since she'd last seen it. Warmer now. Fewer glass edges, more wood and linen. It didn't look like a fortress anymore. It looked like a man had been trying, slowly, to make peace with living again. Lucas wheeled himself inside. Phoebe lingered near the entrance. "You've redecorated." He gave a soft laugh. Somehow, expensive silence still feels like silence. Phoebe kicked off her shoes, walking barefoot across the cool floor. "It's not silent now." He turned toward her. "It's louder than it's ever been." Phoebe walked to the center of the room. Lucas followed her with his eyes. "I keep asking myself what I want from this moment," she said, turning slowly. "A conversation? Closure?" Lucas whispered. "Contact?" She raised a brow. "Are you asking?" "I'm wondering if it's what you want." Phoebe stepped closer, her body now just inches from his. "Do you remember the first time I said I loved you?" He nodded. "You said it when you were mad. Screamed it, actually. You called me dramatic." He smiled. "And you said I was lucky you loved me enough to forgive that." She crouched beside his chair, hands gently resting on his knees. "Then tell me, Lucas, do you believe I still do?" His fingers twitched against the armrest. "I want to believe it," he said. "Then stop wanting," she whispered, "and feel it." Her hand slid up his legs, slow and certain, not rushed, not apologetic. Lucas's breath hitched. "You don't have to prove anything to me," she said. "I'm not here because I need you. Oh, I'm here because I need you real." Lucas placed his hand on top of hers. "I don't know what I'm capable of anymore." Phoebe leaned in, brushing her lips across his jaw. "Let's find out together." Their mouths met, not rushed, not desperate, just hungry. Not for lust, but for everything. They'd buried. Lucas's hands moved to her waist. She climbed into his lap with quiet control, the slit of her dress falling apart as she settled her weight across his thighs. "You're still fire to me," he whispered against her neck. Her nails scraped lightly along his scalp. "And you still make me melt." He tilted his head back, letting her kiss down his throat. "I've missed this," he said. "The weight of you, the warmth, the smell of your skin." "You miss your wife," she breathed. He looked her in the eyes. "Say it again." Phoebe leaned in, lips grazing his ear. "You miss your wife." She kissed him deeper this time, with possession, with forgiveness. And Lucas, for the first time in years, didn't resist it. The doors of Lucas's penthouse shut behind them with a soft click. But inside the suite, nothing felt soft. Everything felt immediate. Phoebe's breath hitched as Lucas rolled forward, his eyes never leaving her. She walked behind him slowly, deliberately, her bare feet padding over smooth marble, her green, dress trailing like smoke. He stopped near the terrace, overlooking the skyline. She stepped in front of him. No one spoke. Then she knelt, not with submission, but with purpose. Her hands rested gently on his knees. Her eyes rose to meet his. "Are you sure?" she asked, voice barely above a breath. "I've never been more." Phoebe unfastened the front of his bisht, moving slowly. Each fold of fabric revealed not weakness, but a body shaped by survival. His chest marked with faint scars. His ribs lean and trembling slightly under her touch. Lucas inhaled. "It's been a long time." Her fingers slid up the sides of his torso. "It doesn't feel like it." He watched her, careful, reverent, hungry. Her lips brushed over his collarbone. "Tell me what you need." Lucas didn't hesitate. "You." Phoebe stood and guided his hands to the sides of her waist. Then, with one fluid motion, she turned and let the back of her dress fall open. It slipped to the floor. She wore nothing underneath. Lucas's breath caught. She faced him again, bare, golden, the moonlight pouring across her shoulders like second skin. "I wanted to feel brave," she whispered. "So I came with nothing between me and the truth." Lucas reached forward, tracing her hip with his thumb. "You're more than brave. You're everything I lost." She stepped over his lap, straddling him gently, her thighs warm against his sides. Her arms wrapped around his neck. Her mouth hovered just above his. He didn't move. He didn't need to. Phoebe kissed him first, deep, slow, full of years they both tried to forget. Lucas groaned into her mouth. His hand slid along her back, pulling her closer until there was no air between them, just shared heat and memory. "You still feel like home," he rasped. "And you still feel like fire," she replied, her voice thick with desire. Her hips moved, grinding against him slowly. Lucas's head fell back, his hands gripping her waist tighter. "Don't stop." "I wasn't planning to." She unbuckled his belt, fingers deft and determined. Lucas helped her, urgency growing. In seconds, they found each other. Phoebe sank onto him slowly, eyes fluttering closed, breath escaping her lips in a gasp that echoed off the high ceiling. Lucas groaned, deep, guttural. His hands tightened around her waist as she began to move, tentative at first, then deeper, firmer, like muscle memory rising from beneath the ashes. "God!" he whispered, pressing his forehead to her shoulder. "I didn't know I still could." She cupped his jaw. "You never stopped being a man, Lucas. You just forgot how to be." Touched. Their rhythm deepened. The chair creaked beneath them, but neither cared. The world was outside. This was their resurrection. Phoebe's breath hitched. "I don't want to stop." "Then don't." Their foreheads met. Sweat built between them. Moans escaped in broken patterns. Her name left his mouth, like a prayer. His name poured from hers like a promise. Her body trembled first, tightening, pulsing, breaking apart his arms. He followed seconds later, his whole frame shuddering under her as he came undone. They clung to each other in silence, chest to chest, heart to heart. Phoebe whispered against his ear, "You never lost me. I was just waiting for this." Lucas didn't reply with words. He just held her, and for the first time in years, he felt real. The scent of oud lingered in the air, mingling with the salt of sweat and something older, something almost forgotten. Phoebe rested her forehead against Lucas's. They hadn't moved since their bodies quieted, just a slow rise and fall of breath, her skin still pressed to his chest, his arms loosely encircling her back. Lucas whispered, "I don't want this to be a moment." Phoebe leaned back slightly, her palms cupping his jaw. "Then don't treat it like one." He looked up at her, eyes glassy, lips parted like he wanted to say everything at once and nothing at all. "I should have brought flowers," he murmured. She smiled softly. "You brought honesty. That's better." She climbed gently off his lap, muscles trembling slightly. Lucas reached for the blanket, draped over the back of the couch, and handed it to her. She wrapped it around herself as she walked barefoot toward the terrace. Her green dress still pooled like a memory on the floor. Lucas watched her move, graceful, unhurried, like she belonged here. When she returned, the wind had kissed her cheeks pink. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Just needed air." He gestured toward the plush chaise beside him. "Stay." Phoebe didn't hesitate. She curled up beside him, head resting against his bare shoulder, one leg drawn up, the blanket falling slightly as she settled in. Lucas reached for her hand. "Do you ever think about the life we could have had?" "All the time," she whispered. He swallowed. "Do you hate me for what I did?" Phoebe was quiet for a while. Then she said, "I hated the silence more than I hated you. I hated the years Malik asked, questions I didn't know how to answer. I hated watching him draw pictures of you and leave them by the door." Lucas's chest caved a little. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." She lifted her head. "I'm not offering forgiveness. I'm offering a beginning." Lucas turned fully to face her. "Why?" "Because you didn't run tonight. You could have shut me out. You didn't." He nodded slowly. "I want to know him." "You will." A quiet beat passed between them. Then she added, "You can come downstairs tomorrow morning. We'll be at the hotel by then." Lucas hesitated. "He'll recognize me?" "He knows your face. He just doesn't know your voice yet." Lucas closed his eyes for a second, breathing her in. "I'm scared," he admitted. Phoebe laced their fingers. "That's how I know this is real." He tilted his head. "Can I ask for something else?" "Ask." "Don't leave tonight." Phoebe paused. "Lucas." I don't mean like that. I just, his voice broke slightly. I want to wake up and see you. Next to me, just once more. Her hand pressed to his chest. I didn't plan to leave. Lucas blinked. You didn't. Phoebe shook her head. I came here for Malik, but I stay because something in me still belongs here. He touched her cheek. I don't want to ruin that. Then don't overthink it. Let tonight be what it is. No promises. No plans. Just this. He smiled. You always were the brave one. She leaned forward, kissed his shoulder, and whispered, and you were always worth fighting for. They didn't speak again for a long while. Just breath, just warmth, just skin and heartbeat, until sleep pulled them gently under. The morning light poured in slow, golden beams across the marble floor. Lucas stirred first, not because of the light, but because Phoebe was no longer beside him. He turned his head, heart kicking up. Then he saw her, wrapped in the same blanket, standing barefoot on the terrace, watching the city wake up beneath them. Her silhouette, backlit by morning, made him still again, not out of fear this time. Out of awe. He wheeled closer, quietly. You always loved sunrise, he said. Phoebe turned, her hair undone now, tumbling past her shoulders. It's honest, she replied. Lucas smiled faintly. Like you. She reached out a hand. He took it. She guided him out to the terrace. I didn't think you'd follow me, she said. I didn't think you'd still want to be followed. Phoebe stepped closer, her hand resting over his heart. I didn't come here expecting closure. I came because I couldn't bear another year of silence. Lucas exhaled slowly. You didn't just break the silence. You shattered it. And you let me. He reached for her, pulling her down onto his lap, arms wrapping around her waist. The blanket slipped slightly. Don't cover up, he whispered. She looked down at herself, then back at him. You see me, every inch. He kissed her shoulder, trailing upward to her collarbone. You're still mine. Her hands threaded into his hair. Then take what's already yours. Their mouths collided again, but slower this time. Less desperation. More knowing. Lucas's hands explored her curves like familiar terrain rediscovered. Phoebe's body arched against him, heat building with every kiss, every breath, every shared gasp. He shifted beneath her, guiding her down until she was straddling him again. You sure? She asked. I've never been more sure. She moved against him, slow, deliberate. There was no rush, no fumbling. Just two people rebuilding something sacred. One movement at a time. Lucas's head fell back. You still make me feel everything. Phoebe cupped his face. And you still fit me perfectly. He slid inside her again and both of them exhaled, almost like relief. She rolled her hips slowly, arms wrapped around his shoulders, eyes locked to his. The sun rose behind her. Her body glowed with light and sweat and grace. Their rhythm built steadily, synchronized, tender, intense. Lucas's hands roamed her back, anchoring her as she rocked against him. You've always been the fire, he whispered. And you, she breathed, the match. Pleasure built slowly, then rapidly. Phoebe's breath caught. She trembled, clinging to him. Lucas followed seconds later, holding her tightly, his face bared against her neck. They collapsed together, forehead to forehead, breath merging in the morning stillness. Minutes passed before either of them spoke. Phoebe pressed a kiss to his cheek. You don't have to be whole to be wanted. Lucas touched her face. You make me believe that. They stayed on the terrace, wrapped in the aftermath of rediscovered desire and long. Overdue truth. No need to move. No need to speak. Just everything they once lost, found again in silence that didn't hurt. The city moved quietly beneath them. Cars rolled like whispers on distant streets. Birds traced loops through the sky. But high, above it all, Phoebe lay curled against Lucas, the morning sun spilling across their skin like a blessing neither had asked for, but both needed. She rested her head on his bare chest, her fingertips idly tracing the curve of his ribs. Lucas stroked her spine with slow, steady hands, not to spark anything, but to anchor her. Neither spoke. There was no rush now, no crowd to impress, no image to uphold. Just them, just this. "You're not trembling anymore," she said softly. Lucas looked down at her. "Because for once, I don't feel like I'm about to lose something." Phoebe tilted her chin up, studying him. "What do you think this means?" He took a breath. "That I still love you." Her eyes glistened. "Lucas, I know," he said before she could answer. "I know you're not here to make decisions. But I needed to say it, because it never left." Phoebe sat up slightly, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. The movement exposed her collarbone and one bare leg, but she didn't flinch. She didn't hide. "You always had a way of speaking truth when it felt most dangerous," she said. "I've run out of time to lie," he replied. She glanced out at the skyline, then back to him. "I'm scared." Lucas's hand tightened gently around hers. "Me too." They were quiet for a long beat. Then Phoebe asked, "If this is a beginning, what happens next?" Lucas considered that. "I see Malik. We don't rush anything, but I show up." She studied his face. "That's all I ever wanted." Lucas hesitated, then reached to the side table. He grabbed his phone and unlocked it. "What are you doing?" she asked. He opened his gallery. Dozens of pictures of Malik. One she didn't know he had. Filled the screen. "How?" she whispered. "James sent them. He knew I'd want to see him, even if I couldn't say it aloud." Phoebe took the phone slowly, scrolling through. Malik's smile, his eyes, his curls, his messy drawings. The way he clutched that little toy car. Lucas watched her face. The way it softened. The way she bit her lip, holding something back. "He's beautiful," he said. "He's everything you are," she whispered. Lucas shifted slightly. "Then he deserves to know me." Phoebe nodded, eyes still on the screen. "He does." Silent again, but this time it wasn't avoidance. It was agreement. Lucas reached out, gently guiding her face back to his. "I'm not asking you to come back." Phoebe's brow furrowed. "You're not?" "I'm asking if I can come with you, wherever you are, however you'll have me." Her lips parted, surprised. Lucas continued, "I don't want to rebuild the past. I want to build what we never got to. Finish." Phoebe leaned forward, kissed him softly. "Start by meeting your son," she whispered, "and we'll see what grows from there." He smiled. "Deal." A voice broke the stillness from inside the suite. "Mom." Phoebe turned, startled. Malik stood barefoot in the doorway, pajama-clad, hair wild with sleep. In one hand, he held a toy car. In the other, his thumb hovered near his mouth. "Is this where Daddy lives?" Lucas froze. Phoebe swallowed hard. "Yes, baby. This is Daddy's home." Malik's eyes moved to Lucas. "Daddy?" Lucas's voice cracked. "Yeah, I'm your daddy." The little boy didn't hesitate. He walked straight into Lucas's lap and curled against him like he belonged there. Forever. Phoebe watched as Lucas wrapped both arms around their son, his eyes glassy, his breath shaky. Malik looked up at him. "Can we go to the beach later?" Lucas blinked. "Yes, we can go anywhere." Phoebe sank beside them, brushing a tear from her cheek. And just like that, everything changed. Not with fanfare, not with promises, but with a simple morning. A boy, a father, a woman who never truly left, and a home rediscovered. Malik nestled into Lucas's lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. Lucas sat frozen at first, unsure whether to hold him tight or not move at all. His arms hovered awkwardly around the boy's back, terrified of doing something wrong. Phoebe crouched beside them, her hand on Malik's shoulder. "Baby, this is your daddy." "I know," Malik said without hesitation. Lucas blinked. "You know?" Malik nodded, clutching the toy car tighter. "Your face is in all my drawings." Lucas's throat closed up. Phoebe watched her son with a soft smile. "He's never met you, but he's always known who you were. Somehow." Lucas gently tightened his hold around Malik, testing the weight, the feel, the warmth. It wasn't just real. It was right. You like cars? Lucas asked, nodding toward the toy. Malik grinned. This one's a race car. But I want to build a real one, like the ones you used to drive. Lucas laughed, surprised by the boy's confidence. Used to? You think I can't drive anymore? Malik tilted his head. Can you? Lucas smirked. Not like I used to, but I have a driver now. Maybe one day you'll take over. For him. Malik's face lit up. For real? For real? Phoebe leaned against the couch, watching the two of them bond faster than she had. Anticipated. Are you hungry, little man? Lucas asked. Can I have pancakes? Lucas looked at Phoebe. Do I even have pancake mix? She chuckled. You have enough kitchenware to serve a small nation, but no food. Lucas looked down at Malik. Okay, scratch that. How about we go out for pancakes? Just the three of us. Malik beamed. And after that, the beach? Lucas's face softened. We'll go anywhere you want. Phoebe stood, ruffling her son's hair. Go get dressed, champ. Your pajamas don't match. I liked them like that, Malik insisted, sliding off Lucas's lap and padding barefoot toward the guest room. The door closed behind him, leaving silence in his wake. Lucas turned to Phoebe. That was the first time I held him. At CedarLight Love Stories, we believe every heart holds a story worth telling. Our tales are crafted to inspire, heal, and rekindle the glow of love in your soul. Don't just listen. Be part of this journey. Subscribe today, tap the bell, and share these stories with someone special. Together, let's spread love, light, and unforgettable moments, one story at a time. And it didn't feel like the first time. It felt like I've been waiting forever. Phoebe sat beside him, eyes full. He's waited too. Lucas rubbed his hands over his face. I don't even know what to say. He just accepted me. He's your son, Lucas. He doesn't need a resume. He just needs presence. Lucas exhaled. I didn't think I deserved to be his father. Phoebe touched his shoulder. You don't have to earn that title. You just have to live it. He looked at her, really looked. You raised him alone. She nodded, and I would have kept doing it. But that doesn't mean I didn't hope for this. Lucas leaned back, his voice softer. I don't want to miss anything else. His first bike ride, his first heartbreak. I want to be there. All of it. Phoebe studied his face. Then start now. Don't look back. He nodded slowly. Thank you, he whispered, for letting me see him, for not turning me away. I didn't do it for you, she said. I did it for Malik. But I'm not sorry you're here. Their eyes held for a moment too long. Then the door creaked open again and Malik reappeared, this time in jeans, a bright orange t-shirt and mismatched socks. I'm ready, he announced. Lucas grinned. You got style, kid. Malik proudly held up his toy car again. Can I bring him? Of course. Phoebe stood and reached for her purse. Let's get pancakes. Lucas maneuvered his chair toward the elevator. Let's make a tradition. Malik bounded forward, hitting the elevator button like it was a game. As the doors opened and they all stepped in, mother, father, and child, it wasn't just a ride downstairs. It was the beginning of something they never thought they'd get back. Family. The beachfront cafe was nearly empty when they arrived, just the early sun casting long shadows over the dunes and the scent of cardamom drifting from the kitchen. Malik rushed to the window seat, his toy car clutched in one hand, menu in the other like it was a comic book. Phoebe sat across from him, smoothing down his wild curls. Lucas stayed at the end of the table, his chair adjusted to meet their height. Orange juice, Malik declared, and extra syrup. Lucas raised a brow. No eggs? No fruit. I had fruit yesterday, Malik said proudly. Phoebe laughed. A single grape does not count. Lucas turned to her. He's got your attitude. And your sarcasm, she replied. Their eyes met briefly, more fondness than tension now, more shared memory than regret. The server came and went. Coffee was poured. Pancakes arrived, steaming and stacked. Malik dove in without ceremony. Lucas watched, amazed, I don't think I've ever seen someone eat with that much purpose. Phoebe sipped her coffee. He believes syrup is a food group. Lucas turned his gaze to the boy again, studying the way Malik talked with his mouth full, how he swung his legs under the table, how he made tiny engine sounds while sliding the toy car across his plate. Does he always carry that car? Lucas asked. Phoebe nodded. It was a gift from his preschool teacher. He's never let it out of his sight. Lucas reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, an older metallic Matchbox Porsche, scratched but well kept. I kept this since I was 12, he said, offering it to Malik. It used to race across my desk during math class. Malik's eyes widened. It's old. Lucas laughed. Thanks for that. But cool, Malik added quickly, accepting the car. Want a race? Lucas leaned forward. You're on. Phoebe watched him flick the toy cars across the table, syrup puddles narrowly avoided, laughter bouncing between father and son like it had always belonged there. For a moment, she felt like a stranger at her own table. And then, just like that, she didn't. She was watching her family, unfolding. After breakfast, they walked along the edge of the sand. Lucas stayed on the boardwalk, while Malik darted between them, collecting shells and tossing them skyward. He's quick, Lucas said, shielding his eyes. Phoebe smiled. He has your energy. Lucas shook his head. He has your resilience. They paused at a bench facing the sea. Malik was building something a few feet away, a pyramid of wet sand and pebbles. Lucas reached into the pocket of his bisht again and pulled out a folded photo. He handed it to her. It was old, a sonogram. Phoebe's breath caught. You kept this? Lucas nodded. James slipped it to me after the accident. Said I'd regret it if I didn't. She stared at the blurry shape on the printout, the tiny outline that had once scared her and thrilled her all at once. I used to sleep with this under my pillow, he said. Back when I still believed I'd get to see the real version. Phoebe handed it back. You don't have to hold on to echoes anymore. Lucas looked at her. That's not why I brought it. Then why? He unfolded the paper carefully. On the back was a note in his handwriting. I wrote this the night before I disappeared, he said. Phoebe held her breath. Lucas read, If I ever see her again, I hope I still have the strength to tell her I never stopped loving her. And if I meet my child, I hope he knows I left not because I didn't want him, but because I was scared he wouldn't want me. Phoebe's hands trembled. Lucas tucked the paper away. I didn't expect to say any of this today, but seeing you, I can't keep pretending. She stepped closer. You don't have to. Malik ran back then, his shirt damp, shoes full of sand. Daddy, I made a castle. Lucas opened his arms. Come show me. The boy climbed into his lap without hesitation, bits of sand raining down. Phoebe stood in front of them, heart wide open. Lucas looked up. He loves me, Phoebe. Just like that. I told you, she said. He always did. He just needed to see you standing still long. Enough. Lucas smiled. Even if I'm sitting. She smiled back, especially then. That evening, the hotel's suite glowed with soft amber light. Malik was curled up in bed between two pillows, one hand loosely gripping his toy car, his curls flattened on one side from the bath towel Phoebe had used to dry him off. Lucas watched him sleep from the armchair across the room. His own son. Safe. Home. Phoebe returned from the kitchenette with 2 cups of tea. She handed one to Lucas and sat beside him. Did he fall asleep fast? She asked. Lucas nodded. Out before I could finish the second page. He never makes it past page 3, Phoebe said with a smile. Even when he insists he's not tired. Lucas looked at her over the rim of his cup. He trusts me. He does. I don't know how to carry that, he confessed. It feels too big. You don't carry it, she said. You live it, one day at a time. They sat in silence, sipping slowly, the sound of Malik's breathing filling the space between them. Why did you really bring him today? Lucas asked. Phoebe glanced at the bed, then back at him. Because he deserved to know his father. That's not the only reason. She held his gaze. No, it's not. Lucas leaned forward. Then tell me. Phoebe placed her cup down. Her voice came out low, honest. Because I missed you. And I hated myself for still missing you. Lucas's jaw clenched. I hated me too. I wanted to stop, she continued. I tried. But every time he looked at me with your eyes, every time he said something with your same tone, I couldn't forget. Lucas turned his body to face her fully now. And what about now? Now, she said, I'm tired of pretending there's nothing left. Lucas leaned in slowly. So there's something left? Phoebe nodded barely. There always was. I just needed you to stop running from it. He reached for her hand. She let him take it. You never asked me back, she said softly, because I don't want to ask you to return to something broken. Phoebe's voice cracked. But what if I've already returned? Lucas swallowed hard. Then tell me how not to lose you again. She moved closer until their knees touched. You don't lose people you choose to stay. He nodded. Then I'm choosing to stay. The space between them disappeared. Their foreheads met. The kiss came after. Quiet, slow, filled with everything words had failed to express. Phoebe pulled away slightly. He asked me last week why he didn't have a daddy like the other kids. Lucas's eyes dimmed. And what did you say? I said you live far away. Lucas looked down. That's not good enough. No, she said, but it was the best I could do when I didn't know if he wanted to be found. He met her eyes again. I wanted to. I just didn't believe I could survive it. But you did, she whispered. You're here, and he loves you without question. Lucas glanced at Malik again. He deserves every part of me I have left. Phoebe smiled through the emotion. Then give it to him. All of it. And if there's something left over. He looked at her. Maybe give that part to me, she finished. Lucas cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. There's not just leftovers. You were always the center. They kissed again, longer this time. When they pulled apart, Phoebe stood and crossed the room, lifted the blanket beside Malik and made space. Lucas moved closer in his chair. Are you sure? She nodded. He always sleeps better between people he loves. Lucas transferred carefully into the bed, adjusting with practiced ease. Phoebe slid in from the other side. Malik didn't stir. He only shifted, naturally curling into Lucas's side. Phoebe turned to face them. You can stay tonight. Lucas rested a hand on their son's back. And tomorrow? Let's start with tonight. He nodded. Then I'll make tonight count. She whispered, You already have? And with that, the three of them lay in silence, wrapped not just in warmth, but in something far deeper, a second beginning. By noon, the internet had caught up. Phoebe stood at the hotel window, scrolling through her phone in disbelief. Headlines flashed across every tabloid and blog like wildfire. Billionaire Lucas Elamine spotted with ex-wife and child after 2-year disappearance. From wheelchair to whirlwind, private birthday turns public reunion. Secret son? Surprise heir to the Elamine empire? She tossed the phone onto the couch and exhaled sharply. Lucas looked up from the small table, where he was helping Malik arrange puzzle pieces. That the sound of the world exploding? Phoebe crossed her arms. The vultures are back. Lucas shrugged. Let them circle. You're not worried? She asked. He shook his head, steady. For the first time in 2 years, I'm not hiding. They can say what they want. Phoebe raised an eyebrow. Even the ones accusing me of being some gold-digging single. Mother who came back for spotlight. Lucas's tone turned sharp. Anyone who says that doesn't know you, and they don't, deserve your energy. She sat beside him, folding her legs under her. It still stings. He reached for her hand. Then let me be louder than the noise. Malik looked up from the puzzle. Mom, what's a gold digger? Phoebe blinked. It's someone who really likes shiny things. Lucas grinned. Like you with candy wrappers. Malik nodded seriously. I love candy wrappers. Crisis averted. Phoebe looked back at Lucas. We can't stay hidden forever. I don't plan to, he replied, but we don't owe anyone access to our story. She tilted her head. Then what do we do now? Lucas leaned back in his chair. We show them what love looks like when it comes back. Stronger. She gave him a long look. Are you sure you're ready for that level of exposure? I've been invisible long enough, he said. If they're in a look, let them see. Everything. Malik pointed at the last piece of the puzzle. Daddy, help me finish it. Lucas smiled, lifting the piece with care and snapping into place. Perfect. Phoebe rested her head against his shoulder. How are you calm right now? Because I'm not afraid anymore, he said. And because you're here. She exhaled into him. I was scared the world would ruin this. He looked down at her. The world didn't give me you, and it doesn't get to take you away. Malik reached across both of them, holding their hands together. Are we a family now? Phoebe glanced at Lucas. He answered without hesitation. We always were. Malik beamed. Then can we get matching shirts? Lucas laughed. We'll make that the first order of business. Phoebe kissed Malik's head, then leaned into Lucas's neck. Thank you. For what? For not letting fear win this time. He turned to kiss her temple. Thank you for showing up when I didn't deserve it. Malik yawned dramatically. Can we nap now? Phoebe grinned. You just woke up from one. But family naps are different. Lucas lifted him into his lap. You might be right about that. Phoebe stood and drew the curtains halfway, softening the light. Lucas pulled Malik close. You know, I used to think birthdays were just reminders of what I lost. Phoebe sat beside them. And now, they feel like a reason to start over. She laced her fingers through his. And as Malik drifted off between them, the outside world continued to buzz, post, and speculate. But inside that quiet room, none of it mattered. They had already chosen each other. Lucas stood in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, eyes squinting at the waffle maker like it was a business negotiation. Phoebe peeked in from the doorway, arms crossed, smirking. You're seriously trying to cook? Lucas glanced up. I was a chef in another life. The toaster oven doesn't count, she teased. He raised an eyebrow. Watch this. She walked in, leaned against the counter, and watched as he poured the batter. A little. Too much. It sizzled at the edges. Lucas swore under his breath. Phoebe laughed. Need help? No, he said too quickly. Then softer. Maybe. She stepped behind him, guiding his hand gently. Tilt the bowl a little. Pour slower. Lucas let her lead, her chest lightly pressing against his back, her breath at his neck. The moment was domestic, simple, yet intimate in a way that quieted everything else. When the batter settled and the waffle maker closed, she didn't step back. He turned his head. You're enjoying this. I am. Because I'm helpless? No, because you're trying. Lucas looked at the machine, then at her. This right here feels more dangerous than anything I've done in a boardroom. She smiled. It's because it matters. They stood in silence for a moment, her hand still on his. From the hallway, Malik's footsteps approached. Something smells weird. Lucas turned. That's the smell of effort, kid. Phoebe chuckled. It's waffles. He's making you breakfast. Malik's eyes widened. For real? Lucas grinned. You're my first customer. Malik climbed onto the stool at the counter. Do I get whipped cream? Lucas froze. Do we have whipped cream? Phoebe opened the fridge and handed him a can, saved by her co-chef. The three of them sat at the counter minutes later, eating lopsided waffles and laughing at Lucas's confusion over syrup versus honey. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Later that afternoon, Lucas sat in the living room with Malik sprawled across his lap, snoring softly after an animated movie marathon. Phoebe returned from the bedroom, folding laundry into neat stacks. Lucas whispered. He fell asleep mid-sentence. He does that when he's full and happy, Phoebe said. Lucas brushed Malik's hair back gently. I've missed this. You're here now. I don't want it to be temporary. Phoebe paused. It doesn't have to be. He looked up. I'd like to talk about next steps. Real ones. She folded another shirt. You mean like lawyers in custody? He shook his head. I mean like schools. Lunchboxes. PTA meetings. I want to be present, not just visible. Phoebe softened. Then we plan. He nodded. Can we do it together? She crossed the room and sat beside him. There's no other way I'd want to. They sat like that, quiet, with a sleeping boy between them, while the late afternoon sun slipped through the windows. Lucas said softly, I didn't know if I was capable of being this. Phoebe replied, You were always capable. You just needed permission to be vulnerable. He looked at her. Thank you for giving it. She took his hand. Thank you for asking. Malik stirred, mumbled something about dinosaurs on pancakes, then fell still again. Phoebe chuckled. His dreams are always food-related. Lucas smiled. He gets that from me. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and for a long time they said nothing more, because sometimes the most sacred moments are the ones that don't require words. The rooftop was quiet again. No music, no flashbulbs, just the evening breeze whispering across the glass railing and the low hum of the city below. Phoebe stood with her back to the skyline, arms folded loosely, watching the clouds shift, pink and amber. Her hair danced in the wind, wild and soft all at once. Lucas wheeled closer, a small box hidden in the side pouch of his chair. She turned when she heard him. You brought me up here again, she said softly. This is where everything started. Lucas stopped a few feet away. I brought you here because this is where I finally saw you. Again, not just with my eyes, with everything I had left. Phoebe tilted her head. Why now? Because I'm not waiting anymore. He took a breath, then slowly transferred from his chair. No aids, no assistance, just grit and balance and intent. Phoebe gasped, stepping forward. Lucas. Stay there, he said gently. She froze. Lucas steadied himself on one knee, left hand planted firmly on the stone, the other, gripping the box. You once told me I didn't need to be perfect, that I just needed to be present. So here I am, every inch of me, no shield, no walls. Her lips parted, trembling. I've loved you in silence. I've loved you in shame. And now I want to love you out loud, without fear, without hiding. He opened the box. Inside, a ring. Simple, elegant, a single emerald in the center, the same shade as her. Dressed that night. Phoebe's eyes filled instantly. I don't need an audience, he said. I just need your answer. She knelt in front of him, hand covering her mouth. He took her hand in his. Phoebe, will you marry me again? Not because of the past, but because of what we still have left to write. Tears spilled over her cheeks. Yes, she breathed. Yes, 1,000 times. He slid the ring onto her finger. She threw her arms around his neck, and he caught her, steady and grounded. They stayed like that, forehead to forehead, heart to heart. Then she whispered, You really propose on your knees? Lucas smiled. They still work when it matters. She laughed through her tears. You're ridiculous. And you're mine, he said, if you'll keep being. Her voice turned warm. Every day. They kissed under the fading sky, their silhouettes framed by the first city lights blinking on. Below, no press, no pressure, just a promise. The sun dipped low, casting warm apricot light across the rooftop. There were no guests, no cameras, no grand aisle, just a small circle of candles, a string of lanterns overhead, and the city's skyline bowing quietly in the background. Phoebe stood barefoot in a flowing white slip dress, simple, satin, kissed by the breeze. Her curls were down, soft and untamed, framing her face like she was made of light. Lucas sat in his chair, dressed in a tailored cream suit, his bisht folded neatly beside him. He looked calm. Ho! Ready? Malik stood between them, holding a small satin pillow with 2 rings tied gently at the center. Is this the part where I talk? Malik whispered. Phoebe smiled. You already did your part, sweetheart. Lucas extended a hand. Malik placed a pillow in it, then backed away with a proud grin, and sat cross-legged on a cushion nearby. Phoebe stepped forward, her hands lightly trembling, not with nerves, but with everything. This moment meant. Lucas held out the ring. I've stood at many podiums, made more speeches than I can count, but this right here, it's the only vow I ever truly needed to make. She blinked, already on the verge of tears. I vow to never disappear again, not just physically, but emotionally. I vow to be present, to be open, to let you see all of me, even the parts I'm still learning to accept. Phoebe nodded, her chest rising and falling with emotion. He slid the ring onto her finger. Then she reached for his hand, lifting the second ring. I don't have a speech, she said. Just a promise. Lucas smiled softly. I promise not to rescue you, because you don't need saving. But I'll stand with you when it's easy and when it's not. I'll remind you of your strength on the days you forget. And I'll never let love grow silent between us again. She placed the ring on his finger, hand steady now. Lucas reached for her wrist, pulled her slightly closer. No officiant, she whispered. We didn't need one the first time, he murmured. They touched foreheads. Malik clapped twice from the cushion. Are you married now? Phoebe laughed through her tears. Yes, baby. Lucas looked at his son. You're the best man I've ever had. Malik raised his fist in victory. Do I get cake? Lucas grinned. You get anything you want. Phoebe leaned down, pressing her lips gently to her husband's. It wasn't a dramatic kiss. It wasn't showy. It was soft, secure, sacred, and beneath a sky painted with gold, they kissed again, married not by law or applause, but by choice, by healing, and by something the world didn't give them and couldn't take away. A second vow, one without noise, one that mattered. The rooftop lights glowed dimly now, golden globes suspended over their heads, swaying slightly with the breeze. Music played softly through a small Bluetooth speaker, a simple melody, just piano and strings. No vocals, no lyrics, just sound, just feeling. Phoebe stepped toward Lucas, barefoot on the stone, her white dress flowing behind her, like a whisper. Lucas looked up at her from his chair. You still owe me a dance, she said. He smiled a little sheepishly. I've got 2 left feet now. You always did, she replied, smiling back. But that never stopped us before. He held out his hand. Come here. She took it and slowly settled into his lap, one leg on each side, her arms draped over his shoulders, her weight pressed into him gently, familiarly, her forehead resting against his. Lucas began to sway the chair slightly, side to side, their bodies moving as one. Phoebe's voice was barely audible. This is the dance I dreamed about on the nights I hated you most. Lucas didn't flinch. I hated me too. She kissed his temple. Then we're even. They kept moving, no choreography, just rhythm, breath, the old song of 2 hearts trying. Again, Phoebe pulled back slightly, cupped his face. You know what I realized? What? I never wanted the perfect man. I wanted a man who knew how to show up broken and still choose love. Lucas's eyes dimmed with emotion. Then I hope I keep choosing right. You already are, she said. He kissed her gently, then held her tighter. A few steps away, Malik watched from a makeshift blanket fort he and Lucas had built. Earlier, he had one of Lucas's old button-down shirts draped around him like a cape. Are you guys dancing? He asked sleepily. Phoebe turned her head. We are. Can I dance too? Lucas extended a hand. Come join us, champ. Malik patted over, barefoot, his tiny arms stretching out. Phoebe lifted him gently and settled him between them. Lucas adjusted the chair, spinning it slowly. And just like that, they danced together, mother, father, and son, without a stage, without an audience. Just 3 people who had made it through the quiet wars of their own hearts and found each other again. I want to do this every night, Malik said. You will, Phoebe promised. Lucas looked at them both. You two are the only rhythm I'll ever need. They danced until the song faded, until Malik's head rested on Phoebe's chest, until silence wrapped around them again, but this time not as a threat, as peace, as belonging. A week later, the world had calmed. The headlines lost their bite. The photographers moved on. But Lucas, Phoebe, and Malik stayed, not in hiding, in harmony. In a quiet villa tucked just outside the city, mornings began with orange juice and waffles. Not panic. Afternoons were for walks by the water, Malik pressing his toy car into the sand, while Lucas watched from the terrace with a book open and Phoebe beside him, her toes curled into the cushion, sunlight on her skin. They didn't need to post it. They didn't need to prove it. It just was. One morning, Lucas watched as Malik crawled into Phoebe's lap and whispered something in her ear. She laughed, a sound Lucas hadn't heard in that tone in years. Not the forced chuckle she gave strangers, not the polite smile for acquaintances. This one was full and free. Lucas wheeled closer and dropped a kiss on her shoulder. What did he say? Phoebe looked up, beaming. He wants to build a fort big enough for all three of us. Lucas smiled. Then we'd better start planning. That afternoon, they did. Pillows, blankets, chairs turned sideways. They built it together in the living room. Lucas directing, Malik climbing, Phoebe laughing when everything collapsed twice before they finally got it to stay. When it was done, they lay inside, the three of them, limbs tangled, heads sharing one pillow. Phoebe looked up at the ceiling of their handmade shelter. This isn't how I pictured our forever, she said. Lucas turned to her. No, it's better. He reached for her hand. You sure? She nodded. I didn't need a castle. I just needed a man who wasn't afraid to build. Something with me, even if it fell apart first. Lucas kissed her knuckles. Then I promise we'll rebuild as many times as it takes. Malik yawned. I like this house. Lucas grinned. It's a good one. Is it our real house now? Phoebe and Lucas exchanged a look. Then Phoebe said, wherever we are together, that's the real house. Lucas added, no matter what happens outside these walls. They lay still for a while, Malik dozing again, Phoebe nestled against Lucas's chest, his hand resting on her hip. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. Inside, everything was still, everything was full. Lucas closed his eyes and whispered, you didn't ask to be taken back. Phoebe didn't open hers. No. He turned slightly toward her. I asked you to stay. She smiled. And I did. The final scene was nothing grand, just love, resting in its most natural form. A woman who never stopped believing. A man who finally forgave himself. And a child who never needed convincing. Together in the quiet. Together in the light. Thank you for spending this precious moment with us here at CedarLight Love Stories. If today's story touched your heart, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a new tale of love and light. Share this video with someone special, and let's keep spreading stories that inspire, heal, and connect us all. Until next time, stay blessed and keep love shining.